Welcome. This is the January 23rd bhyve production user call. We have Andrew, Alexei, Hans, Alexander, and myself, Michael. And after the last two calls, which were both quite good, on Tuesday we talked about Samba in jails and then a whole bunch about ZFS destroy on the ZFS call yesterday. There were some requests for tutorials on 0 to 60 with Jailer with networking and VLANs, 0 to 60 with Delta, something I've been using. That is Daniel Bell's ZFS replication tool, and 0 to 60 vm-bhyve on multiple data stores and VLANs. Just putting that out there. And a question and topic to explore.
Maybe something to add.
Yes, please.
How to not break your bridge network with vm-bhyve because the defaults are wrong.
Correct. Indeed. That's come up many, many times. How to not break your with the incorrect. Okay, moving on. Hypervisors and CPU microcode updates. Someone had a rather messy situation on Proxmox when a CPU microcode update came along. And I have never seen anyone take a moment to say, observe VM performance with and without perhaps a whole series of updates. I don't know how fine-grained the user
Certain,
can get on applying those, but it's a concern. Yes, Jan.
I've read on certain micro architectures applying the required mitigations can, at least the micro benchmark, cost you 20% of throughput. Um, that's because of the added context switching cost. And
Sure,
yeah,
sure. That's exactly it. And you must
so
wonder if CPU vendors are trying to sell you more CPU to offset that. Go ahead.
yeah. In a proper functioning society, we would make them pay for knowingly selling broken products
This is
because you don't have the mitigation ready to go within days from this without knowing ahead of time.
Agree.
moving on.
Anyway,
Go ahead, Jan. Okay. Alexei, you have been struggling with a beehive bug. You reached out or vice versa to Alexander on Discord, and he invited you to discuss it further. We have a snippet of the code that you believe is offending, but I'd love to see any and all configurations set up to get you to that point. Oh, oh yes, Antranig on the AMA. So thank you, Antranig. I never quite get reminders that AMAs are taking place. No worries, no worries. So Alexei, do you have anything about your setup, such as the Beehive invocation?
We have invocation started from the normal command line, aka the bhyve command. How do I say this? Normal bhyve command. We need two bhyve machines. The network adapter is Vertaio net, and one bhyve should be
Would
using
someone document that? I have to.
serial.
Oh,
One bhyve should be using serial as the output, and the second one should be using VNC. Tab create. Let me just create a tab. We have manual page. I can share my screen if you want me to.
Go ahead and do that. I have a small fire to put out.
Where is that?
Blue and the green share in the middle of it, perhaps.
Share? Okay, this seems to be working. This is me VNC'd into the machine. So let's add the VNC. Hey, I still haven't really figured out how to use Vim efficiently. 10, frame buffer. No, emit TCP. Wait. Like this. This
Don't you
should.
have to specify TCP equals?
It should default to all IPs if you omit that.
Yeah, but you can only have one VNC-enabled machine on the same port bound to any IP address.
We have only one
Oh,
machine with that.
perfect.
This one is COM1
Okay.
SDIO. So tmux.
Yep.
Oh, I forgot to chmod plus xtem and copy user local share.
Can you run the script with sh-x so that we get an execution trace?
Oh yes. vm1 vm create. I think I messed up somewhere.
Did you load the VMM kernel module?
Oh.
Are you privileged
Oh
to
yes.
actually do it?
And sudo
sh-x?
sh dot. Yes.
Okay, it's
And we need to
complaining about
move
bias.bin.
Yeah, let me just move this over here. Boom.
And do you want the
Not
to preserve
FreeBSD.
the
Let's just leave this alone in the background.
so you're on the console, everything is fine. Shell, yep.
Yep, we got
You
FreeBSD
have
here.
an installer running
Yep, that's
or
just
an installed system.
FreeBSD ISO.
Exactly.
This one. Okay, what is
Okay,
it?
it's to open the ISO.
Oh, it's trying to open it from a different directory. Wait a second. Because I copied it over like this.
Yep.
Now let's
Now you have to
download the
connect
VNC
via
viewer.
VNC because you specified wait.
Yep. Do we have VNC viewer like this? Nope.
Just search for VNC.
Tiger VNC? Oh, yes. It's going to be 192.168.118.
5.9.
This should work. Let's see, will this... We didn't specify the port.
5,900.
This doesn't even seem to be working at all, huh?
Do you have to specify the IP address?
Yeah,
Yes.
that's
Try
specified.
loopback if it's on the same system.
It's a different system.
Okay. Can you ping the IP address? Does NC work?
Yeah, because
NC-VC?
I'm SSH'd into it.
You know, just to make sure there's nothing on your network blocking the
Netcat?
network
Okay.
connection. And C-VC.
-VC.
V for verbose and Z. Sorry,
Oh.
VZ.
Like
Right? That's the flag to just test connectivity. Yep. And now port number with a space. Right?
Okay. Oh.
You don't even get a connection. Can you go to the FreeBSD system and run sockstat-l
sockstat
-l 4p and then the port number?
No, it's -4p 5
Lowercase p.
0. Nothing is using
Lowercase.
it. Maybe we should do the sudo. No.
And you're in the right system?
Yeah.
That's strange. It means that there's nothing bound.
We need to just connect to VNC. Let's try
What happens
removing
when
the
you
wait from it.
specify the TCP equals? Before you run it again, destroy the old VMM device.
Okay, yep. Sudo bhyvectl.
Destroy -em name of your virtual machine. You don't have to specify the full
Which
path,
site?
just the guest name is enough.
No, I just wanted to see which one name was it.
Okay.
I
So
forgot.
please try fbuff, TCP, and then IP address :port and a resolution like 800 by 600. Given
CP.
this W and H, and wait.
Wait a second.
Just like the main page examples.
Let's go here. Man bhyve.
And then in the main page, search for fbuff, that should locate the example. If you search for fbuff,
Yep.
you can just copy and paste that line if the device number is correct for you.
I cannot copy and paste here because
you probably can
seems
if
to
you
be trying
use.
to select it.
Well, strange.
With 800 by 600.
That should work. And wait so that.
Let's not do wait. Sudo vm2. Oh, where's my mouse?
I don't know.
Okay. Seems like my mouse disconnected. And
It is
this
funny.
seems to be working now. Huh. No crash.
Both machines are running.
Huh.
Can you go to the live system?
Yep, this is the second machine. And this is the first machine here.
Yep. But if you drop it to the live system, do you see any pass-through devices?
Plus PCI. Oh, no, it's not less PCI. It's PCI conf.
-LV.
There's only Virtual PCI, and here, same thing.
Root. No password.
Oh.
And here FreeBSD, not Linux. Nothing passed through yet.
And are you
Okay, let's
trying
try
to pass
doing
through or
one of
not?
the things that may have caused it then. Because I tried passing through my Ethernet adapter previously.
Should work. You have to use devctl to detach the default drivers FreeBSD has one loaded. So by default, modern FreeBSD installations will run devmatch to locate USB or PCI drivers for plugged-in devices so that they just work out of the box, which means that it will load
IVM because I don't have anything
IWM. That's your Wi-Fi.
Okay, dev. What's it?
Device CTL.
Dev CTL.
Yes, detach.
Detach.
And then the device.
device was this one.
Mhm. You can, for detaching, you can also specify, just specify it by IWM 0.
Or just IWM 0.
Now it's detached. Now I don't know if you have to attach the pass-through proxy driver, but you should. If you don't, you should be able to just use it as is. But it may be that you have to explicitly attach the
List.
PP driver.
Was it rescan?
What? If you want to reattach?
Yeah, when we want to reattach the PPT driver.
No, you have to explicitly assign.
No, it's attach, not T.
So,
Let's just do man def CTL.
Exactly. So you would not attach this to just attach the default driver, but if you want to explicitly set one, you have to use set driver.
Set driver?
Yep.
Okay, and how do we get the device? Because
In the listing, it's PCI, whatever.
this full one,
Yes,
just the
that
ID.
one.
Okay.
And now you have there none at 0 at PCI, whatever that used to be your IWM device, with non-0 there. Because it had PCI 0:5:0:0:0 there. Don't copy the last colon, that's just a separator. That should,
PPT.
and then,
and now PCI conf L should see a PPT 0 on this one. Just in case, let's do LV. What is it? It's PCI. Yeah, seems to be good. It doesn't show me what device it is. It's just PCI.
It's a placeholder driver which masks the device.
And let's go to VM1. Now, S pass through. Oh, I might need to restart because I'm on AMD.
What?
I might need to restart because AMD.
Okay.
Restart this machine with SSH too.
You shouldn't have to restart the host to do that, no?
No, because we need HV, VMM, AMD-VI, and something like AMD-VI.
Oh, in that case, you can just, unless you've compiled it in, you can do that, put that in to enable the PCI device password, put it in loader.conf like you intend to.
To put it where?
In loader.conf/boot/loader.conf.
Oh, yeah. I put it in loader.conf with D.
You want to set hw.vmm.amdvi.enable to 1.
AMD-VI enable equals 1. Also VMM load.
And you don't have to reboot because you can just stop both bhyve guests.
Yep. bhyve CTL list. Nope. VM.
You can run. And the other one was VM2 or something.
Yep.
Okay,
now just a sudo conf or what?
No, yeah, exactly. You set the kernel environment and then you unload and load again the VMM kernel module. That should also do it.
Okay. Oh, what am I doing?
You set exactly, you give it the single line.
Okay, and
now unload the KLD unload.
Unload VMM.
-v. Okay, yeah.
Yep, I'm getting a lot of output on
dmessage
the
output.
sudo
dmessage output.
Yep, IVHD. And AMD IOMMU.
Yeah, so what kind of AMD CPU are you running?
A Ryzen 7 5800X. Ryzen
so that's
7.
Zen 4?
It's Zen 3, as far as I know.
Okay. Okay.
vm1.sh pass through pp. No, we need
The
to
wiki
do
has an example.
500 like this.
Yes.
Yep.
And now
This should be vm2, and it didn't crash for now. That is already a sign. And yes. Huh.
good.
This seems to be a
Image.
one-time thing, because it doesn't crash anymore.
Now try Demas in the guest to see if you
Oh,
can.
so, and in the
In the
guest,
guest?
okay. In the guest.
Ja, dann die Apple of Corner,
Message.
right?
Yep, we got
IVM0. That is was detected. Driver attached.
LSPCI.
It's still
not
PCI
not
conf
LSPCI. PCI conf.
-LV.
Conf. LV.
Yep.
We got IVM0. Yep.
It is.
It seems to be working.
Looks like it.
Okay,
So if
if
you
we
want better
cannot...
throughput out of your device, you can now use the Wi-Fi box hack.
Okay, there seems to be a bug that we cannot reproduce. Let's try to do a different bug that we could reproduce yesterday.
Pass-through problems are often hardware specific.
Yeah.
So that bugs are only reproducible on the more or less the same chipset and potentially firmware. Definitely pass-through devices also matter. So just because your Wi-Fi works doesn't mean your GPU will work.
Yep.
But hey, it worked. Okay.
And you say
Should
bug,
get the
was the
mem test.
configuration good or it required configuration?
And what was the reported behavior when it didn't work?
When it didn't work, as soon as I connected to the VNC, it just crashed the first VM.
Did you also pass through some device to the first VM?
I don't know. They were both different VMs. Just the first one had passed through the network adapter, and the second one had it was just a completely separate VM, but with VNC. And when I started, when I connected to its VNC, it crashed the first VM.
What I wondered is, could it be that the issue is that you the pass-through only works for one virtual machine at a time?
Maybe.
And they try to use it on both, potentially with similar devices or whatever, or with devices which share some hardware resources. For example, different half of the same dual port network card, or in the hardware that there was some PCI resource shared between the devices, so that they were kind of behind the same IO MMU slot, and then you can't partition devices into different guests, and you can only move them either not at all or to the same guest, because the IO MMU doesn't treat them separately. That's an issue on some especially older boards, that you can't just arbitrarily slice and dice your slots, or that like two slots have to go to the same guest at all, just because of hardware limitations, which of course aren't well documented anywhere, and I haven't found a good way to enumerate these restrictions. Most of the work I've found on that is from people trying to have a gaming virtual machine under Proxmox, and want to pass through, let's say, a GPU and a USB controller so that they can have low latency video and I/O for their gaming, whatever, peripherals, keyboard, mouse, gamepad, headset, and then a GPU. And sometimes, yeah, you for example, can't just pass through the USB 2 device from a shared USB 2 and USB 3 controller. Not at the PCI level, at least.
When we're trying to recreate a different issue now. So let's VNC a memory test. It should work right now. And it works. That's good.
Yeah, if memtest doesn't work, you have a bigger problem.
That works. That is good. Now let's up the CPU count to 2. Memtest. And
Did
it
you
Did you
reboot
crashes.
the
terminate it
VM?
or did it crash?
It just crashed.
Well, and you rebooted after changing the CPU count?
If
mean,
we change this to
Did you
this,
destroy and recreate the device? Because you
if
have,
we
when you change the CPU count, you have to destroy and recreate the VMN device.
okay.
Just
Sudo
run,
bhyve.
do the following. In your startup script, put in the destroy command at
Yeah.
the beginning. And
Also
ignore the
add this here
result.
in
Just
case.
that's asking bhyve to clean up, but and I would heavily
Destroy.
recommend using a bhyve config file instead of the TERS old configuration.
Hey, vim.
Yes?
Vim being vim.
Yes?
Bhyve ctl destroy VM. Let's destroy all
Yes?
the VMs.
No, it destroys just one at a time.
Okay.
You can run ls/dev/vmm to get a list. Okay, now
And
it
it
crashed.
crashed.
Hmm?
Yes.
And if you don't use an fbuff,
Let's try. No fbuff.
does it still come up?
Just add l command stdio
Fine, yeah. That's it.
vm
Twice over.
memory test. Oh, okay. 2. It exited with error code
And
2.
now you look in the bhyve man page.
Yeah, man bhyve. Error code 2, I think it's just exited without any error. Halted.
Mm-hmm.
It's halted. It's not powered off. It's not rebooted. It's
Yeah,
halted.
that makes sense. So can you try? Wait, can you show me the command line and give me time to decode your short argument list? So you wire guest memory dash h. What's that's just yielding. Of course you want that. Dash a. Generate ACPI. Okay, dash W is ignoring unknown MSRs, right? Can you try adding dash X to your command line?
Okay.
Because I think you have to have an X2 APIC for multi-CPU to work. Just
Where's oh wait, we don't have VNC viewer anymore.
re-enable it.
No, it doesn't even seem to boot anymore.
Okay, can kill it?
Hive
Destroy the
CTL.
VM. No,
And it's frozen.
no, it's not. Just give it back the
We
vbhyve.
okay. And remove com1 and add
Okay.
x back. Let's add x back.
And now you have to connect.
And oh,
Did it just crash?
it seems to be just stuck. Doesn't want to
Okay.
load the UEFI.
And if you list the /dev/vmm directory on your host.
So let's do dev vmm. Nothing. Restart the
Okay.
VM. Let's start it again.
What?
Dev vmm.
That is?
It is here. Connect. Nothing.
That's interesting. And if you remove the -x, does that make it worse?
Let's first destroy it.
It would just have the script destroyed and I restart. Now it has bound the frame buffer, as we can see.
And it starts.
And if you go into memtest, it crashes.
Yes.
Wait a second.
Let's try removing like this.
What did you remove?
Removed A and W.
The W you shouldn't remove. It's because if you don't provide W any access to a model-specific register which is not emulated, is fatal.
Ah. Okay, yeah, it
That
still crashes. Same
then
thing.
So -W doesn't do much. -H is for yielding. Yes, okay.
Let's try removing H and S. So only run it like this. And we got a different error. This time it didn't
But wait a
close.
second. Unexpected interrupt. Yeah, but I think because you misconfigured this, that is to be expected. The configuration you started isn't really valid.
Okay.
Um,
Let's destroy it.
so you have to generate ACPI tables for multi-CPU systems. Remove one. Just leave. Don't add the -8. Set the core number
Oh.
to 1 and try again.
Okay, core number to 1.
And see if it now works in VNC.
Yep, seems to be working.
Yeah, you need the ACPI table to locate the interrupt controllers for the additional CPU cores.
But
The ACPI table contains required information.
and it's okay, ACPI tables is what?
It's PC specific craft. It's a bunch of tables where
No, I'm asking
UEFI slash
okay,
BIOS
yeah, it's -A.
requires. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, it's -A.
Yep. Oh, you weren't asking what they do, but just the
Yeah.
letter.
Yeah.
So if you have more than one CPU, you need uppercase A. Otherwise, it
Like
just
this?
can't work. Yes.
Even like this. Let's try it like this.
That is,
I
as
did
far
the
as I
wrong
can
thing.
tell, that's
Actually,
not obviously wrong.
started booting it from
Uh,
memory test. Oh.
Interesting. It hasn't crashed, but it reported an error.
Where's this? No, this is the wrong directory. We need to go to memtest.
Can you install mcelog and DMI decode from packages? Log, not
Oh,
code.
mclog.
Machine check exception log. Not that the worst kind of bug would be if it detects an actual memory corruption and your hardware just DMID code. It produces a lot of output.
Like, have you run a test on the host, a memory test on the host?
Yes,
Okay.
I ran it several times and completely.
Okay. In that case, I think you don't have to go down that route.
I had to run several times because I was debugging a crash. That was apparently my GPU being stupid.
And you have just
Whether
one
we...
virtual machine running at a time, right?
Yes. Right now, yes. Are you asking about the GPU crash?
No, about the test right now.
Yes, it's only a single virtual machine. Is this one. Now, can you try doing this same script?
Can you put it somewhere? Which FreeBSD version are you running on the host?
14.2.
Okay, same as me. I have a Zen 2 I can use for testing.
Where's shot?
So one generation older than your microarchitecture.
And the mint.iso is just Linux Mint.
Yeah, I need a URL for that.
Yeah. Well,
One thing you could try right now is to turn off the IOMMU and unload and load the kernel module and try again if that changes it. But
VMM. Oh, kernel panicked.
the host?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Did you have a VMM device open
I
or
think
created?
I think I forgot to remove that one.
Yeah, okay. The unloading the kernel module while you have a guest, it shouldn't let you do that, but I think that's why how you triggered it.
Oh well, let's just wait until it restarts. Console. Here we go.
So
Now let's just start a sudo session.
mhm.
Tmux. Huh. Oh. Can hv vm-bhyve. No. This should work now.
Exact
Mem test.
error. So do you have a link to the ISO?
ISO.
Just so that we are using the same ISO.
It's the previous releases 22.0.
Just send the link via chat, please.
Okay.
Otherwise, I don't want to click and then have us find out
Uh,
like an hour later that, oh
just
yeah,
quickly, Linux Mint archives cinnamon. This should be good.
okay, now I will fetch the ISO. Needs like 2 minutes to download, but Mirror isn't the fastest. It's quite a fat ISO. Probably all the packages for the vhyvectl desktop environment included, right?
What can we do during that 10 minutes?
No, not 10, 2.
Oh, 10 to 2. Okay.
Not, yeah, just, okay, now it's
Well,
down to 60 seconds.
Oh, good.
well, one thing we could do that would be quite nice. I don't know if anybody wants to ack or knack my bhyve CTL man page polish. It's just a little sorting, formatting, and fix up the example a little bit. Very, very minor, not terribly helpful,
Is it in review form?
but of course.
Go ahead and drop the link. You. Shall I grab the share, Alexei, while we go through this? Sounds like, Jan, you're spinning this up.
Yep, give me a minute or two, please.
Okay. So can I grab the share? That's a yes.
Yes,
Right, thank you.
there's nothing on it I need right now.
Do you see that?
Huh?
Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Great. So I saw the SPDX.
So let's see. Oh, I have to specify the IP files now.
Okay, have you received any feedback yet? Alexander, I'm scrolling up for that. Let's see.
No,
Oh,
nobody
I can't open
said
BioSpin.
anything.
Hmm.
But you can test it with if you have git-arc, you can use git-arc patch and then the D number,
Mhm.
and then like you can just get it really easily without having to do too much work.
Actually, funny you should mention that. What is that exact syntax? It's git arc is git space arc, or git arc is a different tool, or what?
That depends on how you set it up. I don't understand how to do the whole git aliases thing. There is a way to make it git space arc, and that's how the manual page has it. But I guess that's like a lot of setup. So what I do is I just copy git arc from tools/git/git-arc.sh. I just copy it into my tilde bin, and then um, that's a lot easier. So when I type git hyphen and then hit tab, it just auto completes the rest.
Okay,
And
what's
so
that
the
path?
tools, git. Let me just walk over to
Yeah.
my desk and just
Okay,
make sure that's it before we put it in the doc.
sure. And I
So
hop in a shell.
sir user source tools git-arc.sh.
Git one word.
No, it's got a hyphen in between. Sorry.
Okay. Um,
Git-arc.sh,
RK. Oh,
and then it's the command is patch, and then the argument in this case is D48401, capital D.
so, um, it does it not run from the tools directory? You need to.
So I'm at the point where I can run the start the memory test,
Yes, yeah.
and I get the same error. Unexpected interrupt on CPU 0. Press any key to reboot. Which of course terminates. Okay, so next is
So not to change too many topics too quickly, Alexander, is that the correct syntax? It was just space and the review.
Oh, sorry, I had my mic muted. I dropped it in the chat. You
Yes,
need a
thank you.
patch in there.
I see it. I see it now. Great. Thank you. Yeah, art patch. Great. Okay. Um, on cursory glance, those changes seem quite reasonable. Hopefully, folks will chime in. So, Jan, you were able to reproduce the issue he's seeing.
Yep. Was able to reproduce the crash, yes.
Got it. So, uh, AMD hardware and from memory, memtest is failing on multiple vCPUs or something else.
Yeah, let me check a few more things.
And the Linux Mint VM mem test, did they rename it test? Mem test fails on multiple.
I just want to clean up the start reproducer script a bit. Remove a little bit of cargo cult and so on.
Now, given that we're going through some debugging, I'd love to, document some of this. We all have our own techniques. MCE log, I confess I hadn't used that. What is it telling us, Jan?
It's supposed to decode the machine check exception logging. So basically hardware errors reported by the CPU or chipset. For example, I encountered a correctable ECC error here, or some kind of errors which will not immediately crash the system, but may hint at real-world problems with this. So memory test again. And the interesting, it didn't crash immediately. So that within 2 seconds or so. Okay. Now what happens when I go down to one CPU? Just to make sure it really changes something. Rebooting, reconnecting, memory test. It heavily starts running patterns.
I'm giving that a go, but get no output. Jan, do you have some favorite syntax for MCE log?
No. Okay, I aborted the crash, which didn't crash immediately when running on one CPU. No.
For shell debugging, my favorite one, the only one I've made use of is sh minus x. And actually, have some commits fixing scripts older than me that I barely understand what they do due to sh minus x.
Do they not behave correctly with it?
Well, the thing with sh minus x is it will print everything as it's being executed, so you see exactly where it fails, and then it's really easy to just look up the line that has failed and see what is going on there. So
Correct.
in one case, they broke man.sh, and I was like, oh, perfect. This will this will increase my legitimacy as fixing man pages. I'll fix man.sh. And
Right.
then I looked it up and there was a command and the syntax of it was wrong. So I looked it up in there and then I looked it up in the man page and didn't have to use the internet for anything. Just searching the manual. It was so nice. I bisected to where it happened. It was beautiful.
Great.
So
And someday try it in your rc.conf and you'll be delighted with the results. Go ahead, Jan.
I'm just trying different parameters.
Go.
Okay, now if I disable SMP,
And Alexei, what motivated a memory test under the virtual machine? Just because as an experiment?
Oh, debugging vim segfaulting under bhyve,
Oh,
which was
interesting.
a GNU libc issue.
Hmm.
Thank you, Red Hat, for approving that commit.
Is that reported elsewhere as an
Yes, that
issue?
was reported on the Arch Linux wiki.
Okay. Goodness.
It was some random commit made by, like approved by Red Hat to the GNU libc, which completely broke half of the binaries compiled with
This
glibc under bhyve.
This is why I won't touch the wiki. I won't improve the wiki. I don't like the wiki. Look what Linux did. They put everything on the wiki and then they have bug reports going to the wiki.
Oh, huh. Yeah.
interesting.
Yes, Jan.
I
I'm now
broke
running a
Vim.
single-threaded mem test on a 4-core guest, and it's not crashing. So if I now exit, we do it again. Could this be a problem specific to memtest, or does the guest also fail to boot?
Did you say it
Oh,
worked on 1 and 4, but not 2?
No,
Or-
it worked if I selected a single one of my CPUs.
Yeah.
So let me test if it only works on the first. So enable
by the way,
SMP. Oh no, now it is disabled.
I'm currently setting up a Windows virtual machine to show
Yeah.
another issue that I just remembered of.
Okay.
There's this program called HW Info on Windows, hardware info, whatever.
Yeah.
Yep.
Running it on a Windows 10 guest crashes bhyve. I only ran it once. It crashed it. I never ran it again.
Did you set the W
Yes, I did
flag in
use
that
W.
case?
Yes, I
Because
did use
otherwise
W.
it's kind of expected if you poke random registers with elevated privileges that it will probe some which aren't emulated by bhyve and will then kill bhyve, because unless you give it a don't be overly pedantic flag, it will just treat it as a fatal error. Yeah, okay, so I got a non-maskable interrupt on CPU 3 when I run it in SMP mode. So, and if I now instead allow it to just boot up, how does it just boot? No IRQ handler for vector, okay, but it's still probing stuff. And I'm seeing the Mint logo, so it's starting up. Looking at a screen and oh, it boots to a live system. That's why it takes so long to boot. Yeah, other than
If you want to see the GNU libc issue, you can download the Arch Linux root file system off their website. Now, inside of the Mint ISO, and just unpack it somewhere and C shoot into it.
Oh,
but
interesting. Okay.
Python, Vim, Pacman. No, not Pacman, but some commands that it runs while downloading packages. They all segfault, memory leak, crash with malloc problems.
Under
yeah, but
Linux compatibility or raw Linux?
No, bhyve, just bhyve.
Okay, so then that was Mint or what had the raw live files?
Arch Linux
Arch
with
Linux, thank
the
you.
new GNU libc.
I always have a bleeding edge of stuff, so it's a good test case.
Okay.
But joking aside, it's the Mint system is working, so I would assume that it's the bug is more or less specific to memtest, because if I can boot to a live system with a graphical user interface and see multiple CPU cores on top and so on, then I don't think that it could just be that memtest doesn't agree with bhyve's ACPI tables, but Linux, FreeBSD, OpenBSD, NetBSD all do. So I don't know if bhyve is the one doing it incorrectly, or if memtest is just not tested on this platform, and they're reinventing the wheel so that they don't need a real kernel.
That's an interesting point. Well,
I mean, I could test if there's a bhyve, if there's a mem. Yeah, if I hook that machine up to the network, I could install the right packages to do a stress test from the inside.
Alex, is that the correct HW info link I put in chat?
Let me see. Yes.
Okay, cool. Well, I do like that you are kind of punching your way outward from the virtual machine, stressing the hardware or virtual hardware.
So I can run OpenSSL speed on all 4 CPUs and see them loaded.
Yeah.
So because the system is responsive, it means that interrupt processing works inside Linux guests, and I would just right now tend to blame memtest more than bhyve for this problem.
I love stressing software. It's my favorite thing to do.
Okay. Do you have a standard kind of regime of tests? Because you have a new one out around every corner.
No, I just do whatever I think of.
Okay.
And that's it.
Well, feel free to keep those coming. There's never enough real world experimentation from what people are running.
Like
Yeah, that is.
I just started to create 100,000 directories in the root on ZFS.
Yeah.
Sure.
It didn't break. It made everything super slow, but it didn't break.
Bingo, exactly.
What do you mean by everything? Running LS, of course. It's slow if you do that.
I mean, yeah, LS did kind of slow down. The LS output from just LSing the root was about 2 gigabytes. Just the text output of LS.
Oh, really? That's pretty fun.
Yeah. The problem is that the ls command will by default also sort the result, and so on, in some corner cases at least, and just to deduplicate stuff and so on. Because if you run certain kind of union-mounted UFS, you can actually get double entries in listed directories, which then gets deduplicated in user space in libc instead of doing it at the system call layer, which, yeah, this can make things confusing.
Alexi, you should please continue stress testing things, especially the way you're doing it by intuition. I had a neighbor who did that for a living, and he made $117,000 a year. This was like 8 years ago, and he would sit in his house in his pajamas all day and just try to figure out how to break whatever the company gave him. And he was living a great life, paid off his house, bought another one before he was 30. It's a great life. We need that. People aren't doing that enough, and that's what makes stuff reliable.
So this is how I rewrote the little testing script.
Where do we look? Oh, there we go. Thank
The
you.
chat.
Oh, yeah. Beautiful.
And of course, you can clean up NCPU and mem and so on. And when you're torture testing BF and so just using it at all, I would really recommend getting away from the old single letter command arguments and just take your configuration, have bhyve dump it in the new format and use the config file. It's so much nicer to look at and debug if you have more than a single letter to look at all these flags. And some things aren't reachable via the command line
For example?
flags. Look at bhyve-conf, some things just don't have an equivalent. It has its own main page. And bhyve,
Yep, it does.
or if they do, the main page doesn't document them.
Oh, Alexander.
But
Okay, sorry. What doesn't document what? I was just typing something.
I meant that some of the things you can control via the bhyve-conf format do not have a one-to-one correspondence to the single letter things. And like, for example, I don't think you can set the buyer sender version, release date, strings, and so on. System serial numbers for the guests and so on.
Good
Or,
point. Here, I'll give you that manual page, Alexander, just academically. Well, it's a valid question. Are there things? Is it a documentation question, or is it not mechanically available through the traditional command line? So it's an interesting one.
So like add a caveat in the
and
caveat
I think you
section.
can't set things like enable the PCI bars early or something like that. Just
You
look at
said,
what you can do via bhyve-conf and try to find like PCI dot enable bars for the these kinds of things. And
Am I understanding correctly? Like make like a caveat at the bottom.
it would, I guess, it'd be on the main bhyve page of what things are not there if they're in fact not implemented. Or someone has to sit down and take a moment to see if you can extract those things. Okay, so your example was PCI devices. I'm searching through, and the other was like BIOS version reported to the guest.
there's just a lot more you can fine tune.
Like BIOS.vendor, BIOS.version. Okay, cool. So
Oh, I see. Okay, so in the main bhyve manual, put in the section on the bhyve config that there are additional options available that are only available if you do it that way.
Essentially, yes, but we need to verify that. It may be maybe there is a way to invoke it, just no one ever thought to document that to the user or in usage or you name it. So there's a little research to be done. I suppose one could look at what's called within the code and just, it's not huge code, just search for like release date and see if it's, available through various paths from the user. Go ahead, Jan.
You can add the following to your bhyve invocation just before the name at the end. So something like this. And then it will, instead of starting the guest, it will dump the current configuration. And then you have your equivalent configuration. And instead, you can now run bhyve with the here doc. Let me try that actually works as nicely as I hope. Config k/dev fd
There you go.
free and then
So Alexei, this lets you put your current syntax in the new format, config file format.
Wait, what?
It just belts it out.
Oh, yeah.
And
Config dump equals 1.
pretty sure it doesn't execute it.
Yeah, it doesn't execute the...
Boom. Although, watch for your resulting
look at my bhyve
having that in
config
there.
with all of the BIOS stuff.
Yes, okay. Oh, it's
I
an
checked it already works.
okay.
It's just random nonsense, but it does allow me to play games in the virtual machine with pass-through. I don't know why, but games do accept that.
what?
Yes.
Games accept what? I mean,
All of these BIOS, all
Really?
these BIOS values. Yeah.
Oh my. Okay. Um, are you doing GPU pass-through?
Yeah. And I'm
And
currently trying to reset it up and just
how
do a second
successful have
Windows
you been
VM.
with that? Because I'm
Pretty
having nothing
successful.
but trouble with carefully following Corvin's guidance.
The only thing I should tell you is to not use AMD GPUs, newer than the 6000 series.
okay.
7000 AMD GPUs, complete pain. You need to restart your host if you start the VM more than 2 times.
More than 2,
Yes, if you
not more
start the
than
VM
1.
more than 2 times, if you restart the VM more than 2 times, you need to restart your whole host because apparently the PCI gets somehow fucked up. I'm sorry for that word, and it's a hardware level issue, and it happens even on Linux.
Okay.
That is very
Not
interesting.
okay, but
There is a custom program to basically properly reset the GPU to its default state on Windows, but it's very janky, and it just managed to crash my bhyve like 5 times when I used it.
Wow.
So I don't use it. I just restart my whole host
Okay.
when I want to restart the VM.
Did you follow someone else's documentation or are you willing to share your working
No,
config? Because
no, I made my whole config myself. It was a pain.
are you willing to share that given that you've gone to that trouble?
Yes.
And is that the built-in GPU on the CPU or you have a desktop with a separate card
If you
slot,
want
etc.?
iGPU pass-through, I can tell you a little bit about my experience. So AMD iGPU.
Yes.
For that, you need a special C program that I can send over to you. You need to use it to dump the VBIOS
Yep.
from the
Yep.
CPU.
Yep.
And I have still not managed to make it work on bhyve. Just warning, I have still not managed to make, even with that VBIOS, the CPU working on bhyve. I just get a black screen. On Linux, it sort of works. Sort of.
Yeah, the problem is that bhyve
And
Let him finish.
is
Intel iGPU pass-through, I managed to get it working on a ThinkPad, but when when the guest system tries just allocating any RAM, I guess, it takes the iGPU's VRAM as its normal RAM. How
What
do you explain this?
ThinkPad?
ThinkPad X250.
Okay.
So basically, it just uses the VRAM as normal RAM and writes garbage to the screen all
Oh,
the
I see.
time.
Haha.
it sounds like incorrect ACPI memory layout tables.
Yeah.
Have you seen error code 43 with a Windows
Oh,
VM?
a lot.
Exactly. That's all.
Go to your BIOS if you have that. Just check if you have bar enabled in your BIOS. It's called bar and the rebar, and also above 4 GB memory for mining. It's actually called that in my BIOS.
Really? Oh, goodness.
Above
So,
4 GB memory for mining.
That's an explanation, but above 4 GB is decoding for that. So
Yeah.
it basically means that you assume that all your GPUs and so on and other PCI devices are actually 64-bit capable and not just 32-bit capable. And that allows you to then give them memory ranges in the upper part of your physical address space. So if devices like an iGPU want a video memory out of your physical DRAM, you don't try to squeeze all of them into the lower 4 gig because on a mining rig, these little parasites don't want to run multiple GPUs, as many as they can, on one system. And if you do that, you will not be able to fit all of your VRAM on your dedicated GPUs mapped just the aperture for the GPU. You can't have that many apertures in 4 gigs of memory. If you have 7 or 8 GPUs in the system, you can't squeeze all of that into 4 gigs of address space. And then that part causes problems with devices where this is either not implemented or even worse, implemented incorrectly.
okay, what other phrases have you heard for that
Yeah,
term?
so
You can lay them
if you
on.
have these settings enabled,
Yeah.
disable them.
Oh,
Just disable
disable
them.
them.
Yes, disable them. It does not work with them.
Okay, so then what other BIOS phrases have you heard to describe that? Like
Um,
mining is not in my HP desktop for a work client. So,
It will just be called
like 4G.
above 4G decode or something.
Yeah, it
okay.
may be named like above 4G decoding. And it should be next to a rebar. Bar,
Rebar is only on
rebar.
modernish systems. That allows you to increase the aperture size from the limits of, I think, 1/4 of a gigabyte or 1/2 gigabyte to the real memory you have on your GPU, like up to 24 gigs on a big gaming system.
Okay.
Um, and then you need that much memory mapped space. So to enable rebar, you have to enable above 4G decoding, and that in turn allows you to basically define a memory range for the host CPU where the GPU memory is just linearly addressable so that you don't have to reconfigure the aperture, through which is something left over from the AGP days
Okay.
and 32-bit CPUs, but you kind of had to have a little aperture into the GPU memory. And having to reconfigure that just slows down drivers because now every time they want to read or write GPU memory, they have to reconfigure that piece of hardware, wait for the hardware to be reconfigured, then do the actual DMA transfer, and once it's finished, they can do the next one. Whereas when we have rebar, you can just use memory map IO in a flat physical address space instead of having to do some kind of overlay like insanity. But it's what was required for a decade or more.
Yep.
So a lot of software just works if you do that.
Well, okay, that gives me something to try. Thank you, because that even the language alone is not super helpful and clear. Cool. Anything else at this time? We are at a
Yes,
moose jaw. Yes, sir. What you got?
I cleaned up the script a bit.
Which script? The test from before?
Yes,
Go ahead and repost that. Or did you do it in
yes, give
context
me a second.
brilliantly in the document because you're a good citizen?
Not yet.
Okay. Alexei, what time zone are you in, if I may?
Moscow time zone.
Хорошо.
Хорошо, да.
That because this has been a sorely undocumented area of all the things, and there are so many hardware variations to make it nearly impossible to come up with a consistent-ish statement on, well, to do this, do this. So thank you very, very much for exploring all these things, and I suppose I can find you on Discord.
Yeah.
Maybe Alexander point me to him or the appropriate channel or where to hang out. Not that I can hang out very often, but there's definitely a lot of good things taking place there. Jan, is
I'm
this the
happy
script that
to.
you're tinkering with? Go ahead, Alexander.
Hmm?
I'm happy to. And in addition, when we do the AMA next weekend, I will, or sorry, next Wednesday, I will send you an invite.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I just found that the parser is a bit annoyingly strict about it, so I may have to remove a bit of white space from my configuration.
Okay. Well, I will take a moment to dust off my relatively recent GPU experiments. I very, very much want it working. I very much have a use case, but it's just been nothing but frustration. And I'm researching like tricks and possibly special EFI firmware on, say, an HP Elite Desk 800. And given that I have over 100 of these units recertified at a client site, I really want this to work. I really, really see the wiki page about enabling hidden G4, 4G
What?
decoding, what all kinds of stuff. Anyway, I have homework to do. What about all of you? Jan, do you want to post that later in the doc?
Yeah, give me like 30 seconds.
Okay, I can give you 30 seconds.
Here you go. Here's the
While,
script.
oh, okay, sweet.
So yeah, this is a
Oh, potential security issue downloading.
let's see if it still fits.
Oh,
This is,
beautiful.
so this is how it looks with a config file.
Oh, cool.
And I made the config file an inline here doc. You can build it up with just a few functions so that you can kind of dynamically allocate PCI IDs and so on.
Cool. Boom. Awesome. Where's this? Oh, there. What the what? Where's the start of that here, Doc? Am I blind? Always that chance.
Here, doc is very
EO.
good.
There it is. Yes. So EO is your token.
Yep.
Oh, here we go.
And
Boom, UF. There. Oh,
of,
UF. I lost the F.
if you want to use indentation, use real tabs for the here doc, otherwise the config file will complain. But where I wrote it, you can actually tab indent the config. And I also made sure to only destroy the guest device if it exists before starting.
Cool. And Alexa, I believe, is it like CPU or GPU Z is a graphical utility that can dump firmware on some GPU?
Yes, you need GPU-Z.
GPU Z, okay.
For iGPU, okay, let me send over the
Please
script for iGPUs.
don't ask me how I know this, and I really don't know much about it. It's just like it's been frustrating. Uh, so Z. Uh, Dumping. I keep putting a T in INGs. Okay. Let's see.
I just made the commit to put my birthday in the calendar.
Alrighty then.
Oh, wow.
So and Alexei, just
Thank
to
you.
be
That's one security question down.
exactly, can you put your dog's name in there and your favorite
Yeah,
color?
your mother's maiden name and whatever favorite questions. It's just so.
He doesn't look 300 years old. Alexei, is that the built-in GPU or a discrete card?
Mine
Yeah.
in script,
Mine.
that's my discrete card.
Oh, okay.
That's an RX 7000 series card, so
7,000.
all
Got
the
it.
issues are here for me.
I don't pay those gangsters that you have to pay for protection to from doxing you on the internet. So basically, everyone I've ever seen that doesn't pay $20 a month, if you just Google them, it just comes right up when their birthday is and all that kind of
I'm
stuff.
sending
So
something in chat.
I see it. Thank you. Oh, here we go.
This is a Linux. This is for Linux.
Okay.
Taken from the original is taken from some Russian forum, but I forgot it, I lost it, and I rediscovered it over here. Not me. I didn't rediscover it. My friend Ruben
Okay.
found
Mhm.
a copy of the script over on this repo. But yeah, the original one was found in a random Russian forum with a bunch of Chinese comments
Oh my
in
gosh.
the C file. So yeah.
Do I hear a valiant offer to try to port it to FreeBSD with a nice
Yes.
proper manual page and proper everything and not just sort of random back alley comments?
Yes,
I love your
please.
description of that.
Please port this iGPU vbytes.c to FreeBSD.
Ah, okay. And there's the how do the two relate? There's iGPU and extract. Are they
They're the same things.
same
Just
thing?
extract is the compiled one.
Oh,
For
got it,
Linux,
got it, got it. Thank you.
statically.
Got it. And let me guess that probably has no chance of working under uh,
Yes.
Compat Linux.
Yes.
Okay.
Because it uses some
Python.
obscure device and slash sys. And Linux later is not populate them at all.
Okay, student signature you long. It ain't long, I'll grant you that.
Uh,
Jan, did you
just
retrieve
if
those just out
Ruben
of
will watch
curiosity?
this, and his friend Yona, giant shout out to Ruben, Ruben991.
Yeah.
He was such a helper to me during GPU pass-through. And
Oh,
all of these shenanigans. He only knows how to do it on KVM, but
Mhm.
wow.
Someone's got
So,
a ton of knowledge on their
just
hands.
a question: would it make sense if it's possible? Can you dump the? Could we have a minimal Linux guest ISO which would only dump the BIOS to a 9p mount or something?
Ooh, I like that thinking.
If you can dump it from the guest, so the GPU would not work without it, but can you still read out the vBIOS from a Linux guest?
It's very likely that this is not going to work.
Yeah, because it should be initialized through the PC's BIOS, I think.
Yeah, but the case is, even if it's not properly initialized, you may still be able to read the vBIOS. Because
Okay, so
and especially for NVIDIA cards, if you don't mind not getting video until the driver has attached, I found that at least back then on a GTX 1080 Ti, it was possible to specify the PCI device in the guest for Linux and FreeBSD, and then the NVIDIA driver would attach to the unconfigured
use. Is that
GPU.
correct?
One at a time. Hans, set us straight.
GPUs, correct? Integrated GPUs. Is that what we're talking about?
No, we're
Yes.
just talking about
You were
dumping.
talking about something else entirely. I know that. When you have an integrated GPU, there is no traditional video BIOS. It's all in the system firmware embedded. And that is a place where you can't access it from a VM, of course.
Yeah.
If you have a discrete GPU that may have traditional PCI option ROM, and you may or may not be able to extract that from a VM if the hypervisor maps it, which is not that easy.
Okay.
There's a couple of things about those PCI option ROMs in the spec that make it difficult to use after the BIOS initialized the system. Basically, you lose this to all bars at the same time, or maybe you can lose access because there's no requirement that it has an independent decoder. And I've tried doing stuff like that for the video BIOS emulation on bhyve, and it's just a plain old nightmare to.
Yeah, one of the problems is that
in another way. So if you can map it in a way that any software from the guest can access it, there's no reason to dump it because the firmware that's running in the guest could also just access it that way. But that's apparently not happening. So.
Oh, just
if
to
I
be
understand
correct, you said there's no
correctly,
requirement for an independent what? Decoder or something?
No, on a PCI device, there's a couple of decoders for the various bars. And the ROM is kind of like a bar, but then it isn't.
Okay.
And the original spec for PCI said that a device does not need to have a separate decoder for the ROM bar. So basically, you enable the ROMs, and it's perfectly fine if all the other bars go completely black and that you can't access it anymore until you disable the ROM. So in theory, that is much of a problem, but I found that this is really tricky with in a guest on bhyve if you're playing with this kind of stuff. With basically just the firmware screws itself, and bhyve complains about double mappings and stuff like that. That's the stuff that I ran into when I did work on the video BIOS emulation.
I see.
So yeah, I think I mentioned it before. A couple of months ago, I tried to get an integrated Intel GPU going in bhyve, and I just didn't get it going anywhere. It's just plainly not the way I wanted. I even managed to extract the video BIOS by taking a firmware dump or rather a firmware update, and using a UEFI decode tool to extract the ROM the firmware contents and find the right files. But all that stuff is a real big mess that isn't documented anywhere. So
well, got to start somewhere. And of course, hopefully this is all perfectly appropriate, for lack of a better term.
Basically,
Well,
if you have a tool that's working on Linux, even if it's using some obscure feature of the Linux kernel to get at the BIOS, there's no technical reason why you couldn't duplicate that functionality on FreeBSD or on Illumos for that matter.
did you
It's
both
just
retrieve the code that Alexei posted in chat?
Huh?
no, I didn't look at that, but just saying if that is using some obscure Linux kernel feature, then you just need to re-implement the obscure
Yeah.
Linux kernel feature in FreeBSD and then import it. It's just it's a simple matter of programming, as they say.
It's not a long utility for what it's worth, just saying.
Not really. So when I looked at this, I saw those comments on Reddit and some other places that said, yeah, you need to read this sysfs file on Linux, and there you get it, or and so I suppose the tool is doing something like that or playing with that kind of stuff.
Well, if we were to come up with something actionable, I would simply love to see any and all known working configurations of given hardware, given BIOS settings, given bhyve config, given OS version. But it's a journey. So
Currently getting a Windows VM. I'm working with networking because Vert.io net does not work out of the box in Windows, of course.
correct.
Yes, you need the drivers
I'm
to get
fetching
that
the
working.
Vert.io
But
ISO.
the Intel Ethernet emulation should work.
I'm gonna just fetch the Vert.io Fedora people ISO.
Correct. That's typical. And there were
Yep.
some issues on various versions, but I think they're cleaned up.
But
And if you know anyone at Microsoft, just say, hey, it's 2025. Please include Vert.io drivers. The people virtualize stuff. Please, please, pretty please.
yes, but
Replace the
our
top
special Azure
adapter of
virtual
Vert.io.
device works.
You were saying, Alex?
Actually, replace the top adapter in Vert.io net with the ISO.
Yep. Yeah. Okay.
This is
I have
amazing.
homework to do. I have things to try. This is cool. You've got another post. Let's see. Vert.io net, Vert.io win. Are you, I don't want to say kidding,
I
but does
just
that
misspelled
work?
it, and no, it did
Oh,
not work, of course. I
okay.
just misspelled it.
Yeah. Yeah. Ah,
Mistype it.
yeah. Get those devices lined up correctly. Anyway, I say we all take this wisdom and chew on it and try to get our systems working. I, for one, will boot up this little HP desktop and look for any and all mining related firmware options. Not that I suspect they'll call it that, but that's encouraging. Anything else at this time?
Nope.
Cool. Well, happy hacking, everyone. I will call it at 49 after. We're at nearly 2 hours. And who would like the honors?
Like and subscribe.
Well played. Have a great week and weekend, everyone.
Have a good afternoon.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Have a
everyone.
good night.
Yeah. Good night.
Thanks, everyone. Good night.